Hi, it's on.
Okie dokie. Good morning. Bright and shiny. A little bit.
Right. Make sure it's on. Oh yeah, we're good.
We're good to go? Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad I brought a hat. All right, so what do we got new going on this week? So I had a little topic that I wanted to kind of talk about, and it was discussing and just getting everybody aware of what they called normal, and maybe the desire to get back to normal. Is that really what we want? Or was normal something all along, a long time ago that we were like praying and wishing that things would change? So, and I stole this topic from a speaker, but it's just that you would hear often, I want things to get back to normal. I want everything just to get going again and to get back. But if you kind of go back into your life and go back into those days, months ago, years ago, at least I did. I wanted something more. I wanted something to kickstart, to shift, to change, and I think that opportunity is presented before us. But then it's our responsibility to. You can't just let change happen and you do nothing. You actually have to get out there and just like to make things happen. That's where the hard work is. So, what are your thoughts on normal?
Normal. I think, especially the way you just worded it, I know Bob Roski's back. The craving for going back to normal. I think what that means, at least could mean, to myself and maybe some other people that I've talked similar conversations with about, is I think we're using normal as a word to define routine. We like routines. We like routines. Just when that shaking everything up, and it was like so immediate. It seemed like it was so immediate. So we had a harder time adapting quickly to it. So I think we're craving routine back, but I think that I don't think that we're ever going to get back to that routine ever again. I think we all just need to accept that like things are just different now, and you can still have your routine, but we got to adapt your routine to what the life changes, because life is just going to continuously be changing. Hopefully it's never a pandemic ever again. But I think if we just accept that sometimes life just is going to get massively upheaved, and we just adapt and look for capitalizing on the things that we did change, is we can get some of our routine back, but then look at the positives that this change created and what we were actually craving. Because I think a lot of people, I don't think I'm grabbing for straws on this, but a lot of people are really enjoying like this reconnection with actually communicating with people. Communication might be different, like we're not seeing people in person. Even like a lot of my friends from college, like I went away for school, I don't see them in person regularly anyways, because they all live far away. But we certainly talk a whole heck of a lot more, and I wasn't talking to them to the level that I am now before the pandemic. So what was my excuse then? So and I don't think I'm a bad friend, but I just like suddenly realized that I can be even better of a friend and establish that communication, and we can use this more technology driven or just different means of communication to still enhance our lives and give us our human connection that we need. That doesn't have to change. Like, so even if we start getting our work routines kind of established back to normal, kids going back to school in the fall, going back to normal, we don't have to get rid of that human connection that we're all craving. We just have to figure out how to adapt it. So I think normal is routine. I think what we crave is human, like an actual relationship and connection. Those weren't taken away from us.
Right. No, routines are. Please be my guest. I agree with that. Normal being a routine, and routines are hard to break out of. Let's give you an example on food, on job, on just the everyday, the week to week. Get up, eat, go to work, come back. A lot of times it just leaves the human spirit wandering for more. And it's hard to break a connection, or it's hard to break a routine especially that your finances rely on with a job. It's hard to change a job. It's hard to change your element, and hard to change everything around you. But we do have an opportunity up in front of us. It's almost like it's given, it's presented, and then I think the opportunity, the choice will be: do we want to go back to what we used to do, just every day, back and forth? We know the life that's lived there. which is, it's safe because it's comforting to know what it is to go back to the same job, to go back to the same people, to go back to the same food, fitness, exercise, self-image. But it's a challenge. It's nervous. It's a little spooky to step into a potentially new job, or to try to change your career into something that sparks your heart, gets you ticking. When you wake up in the morning, you're excited to help or excited to be a part of something. It's just that change is difficult, and change is scary, in my opinion, for the most part. I mean, it can be. I like the opportunity for communication. I think a handful of my clients, including myself, we've had Zoom calls, Zoom parties, but I'm doing it, and we're doing it with new people, with different people. Those my cousins, I grew up with them, and now we're meeting almost every day with the bourbon and a Sprite or something, and we're just reliving our past, our history. So it is cool, just reconnecting. But what I'm realizing too is when anyone's in a struggle, or you're just in a position of unknown, a lot of things go through your head, and a lot of those hopefully are you begin to realize what's really important to you in your life. And when this all kind of hit in the beginning, obviously I have a family to support, and I have a house, and I have a car, and I have necessities. And nobody really knew where all this was going to go. But where my mind went was, no matter what happens, if I have myself and my family in a place that is safe and to feed them, then I'm good. And as time goes on, and as the waters kind of warm back up and everything gets back to normal, it's my responsibility to remember really truly what's important. So if I go back to work, and if I go back to life, those which I was holding on to dearly when I was afraid, that those are still the important things, and I still have to keep them close to me. Because now's the time that I'm spending more time at home. My boy, my daughter, my wife, we're getting this bond, and this life goes back to normal. I just can't let that separate. I've established and built something very true, and when it comes down to it, what's real in life is the people, and the people's lives that you affect when you're here, and the legacy that you leave when you go. Thank you, perfect. Oh,
Is he here?
No, Matt was talking about legacy yesterday, and actually that was really cool. Well, I'll talk about that next. But talk to me about really, does this open your eyes to a different type of life, to what you might want more out of life, or what's important out of life?
Oh man, I think that it's all of these changes have made me have to kind of tap into who I actually am, because we can put on so many personas, and I know Angie and I even talked about this yesterday, is trainers and a lot of people in the service industry, whatever your job is, or any job really, we typically, I called it my game show host personality. It's hey, that you think that you're always happy all the time. People think that a lot about us, that we're always hey, let's do this. And it's true, for the most part we are, because we're pretty happy people. We obviously take health being pretty seriously, but having that balance with the person that you are off live camera and off your work hours, is that you have to make sure that you have that support system that keeps that that vibe going for you, even when you're not having your game show moments, and figuring out what that is, and figuring out that I need to be personally the person that you guys see live and the person that you guys see training you all the time. I don't want it to ever be fake. I don't want you guys to ever think that this is just a personality and it's just a persona. And figuring out how I can make sure that everything that I'm doing in my life is making sure that the person I am to my clients, to my family, to my friends, is actually who I am, and I'm not just putting on a front for people. So it's actually remembering, because things are so extreme, remembering who I am as a person, just to keep things grounded and level as possible. So yeah, that would be what working on my actual reality is actually remembering what my actual reality is, and not just the persona that I'm trying to put off. So, because I know I've had a lot of talks with people getting down because of social media. I think a lot of times with people during times of change, or you're unsettled, or you're in a time of confusion, and we're all sitting at home a lot more, or you're just stuck on a computer. So what happens? You end up scrolling through social media, and you start seeing what other people's lives look like. I don't want to emphasize look like. And you're just like, wow, this person's doing this, or this is what I should be doing, or I feel left out. All of those things, and just kind of remembering to shut that off, or just don't look, which is hard for some people to not just sit there and scroll to pass time. But also remembering that a lot of the stuff, well, not a lot, like even 100% of the things that people put on social media is intentional. Even the people who are making a post saying, like, I'm doing this post to show you guys how unintentional this is, it is intentional. They are purposely posting their makeup-free selfies to, like, they're trying to make a point to you. So there still is a lot of intention behind unintentional posts. And don't fall victim to that, to think that you're not doing enough, that your life isn't good enough, that you need to add more to it, that people clearly are living happier lives than you are, they must have it more together than you, because everything is so intentional, and it's meant to give you a perspective, and you have to just keep your perspective on your own life first.
Cool. All right, you talked about a ton of things.
Yeah,
all
sorry.
really, no, all good. I feel like I was writing the whole time. So I'll just kind of bounce back and forth as when we were talking about intentional posting. Yes, everybody, whether you are conscious of it. My camera.
You are. I'm just checking to see.
Conscious of it or not, like we all have a desire that we should be seen by friends or by public, by online. Even today, it's like I chose my shirt, I chose my hat. There's still little or big. Everybody wants to be seen in some way, shape, and it's good to know why are you desiring to be seen as one way or as the other. So let's take that to a little bit deeper. Is Keelin was talking about is on camera or on Facebook is you get to see a different part of somebody. You get to see the goods and not the bads. It's we tend to show our stars and not our stars. It's when you stroll like me. I get up in the morning and sometimes I'll just go, and you're seeing all these cool these things, these happies. It could be car, it could be money, it could be just smiles. And naturally for being a human being, if you don't have those sort of things, you're like, I want those, or I'm not getting those in my life. And it can cause a couple different paths. One, and what's most common, is to be envious and to look at your own life as not as good or as less or as I deserve more. And usually that doesn't fall out very well, and probably always that won't fall out very well. You can also look at social media and look at those who are posting and just consider that every single post always has a side to it. And there's a perspective there's two perspectives to absolutely every single thing. And there's somebody on the other side of the camera. And if someone's taking a selfie, remember, they're like, hey, I'm going to post this. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, and I'm going to make sure that I want to show everybody. So I like it, but society does place a norm, or how we should, or what we should look, be, think, or how much we should make. And getting back to normal is, what do you define as normal? And I do not believe that what we see on our television, on our Facebook, when they say, hey, this is who you should be like us, I don't think that is normal. I think it's a cry for attention. It's a false image that's being projected, because if you're projecting a false image, then odds are then you're not feeling true to who you are. And that leads me into, you said remembering who I am as a person, which is awesome if you went back in your mind enough to realize who you are. Because I think I lived a lot of my life thinking who I was the same as the way I should feel for the rest of my life was the same way that I felt as a kid, which was a lot of hopelessness, a lot of sad, I just didn't think, we talked about this, I didn't think of a lot for me. So my normal when I was a child was not really normal. My normal for a human being, as I'm getting closer to that, just understanding the potential for a human mind, for a human body, is if you have a mind, then it's like an engine. You have a ton of potential. You might not think you're smart. You might think you're witty, you're funny. You might not think that you're earning potential, or your potential for growing career, growing friendships, getting into a relationship. It's all false. It is if you choose to fight for a different normal, to get away from the old way of thinking, and to try to say, hey, I'm going to step into something that I am not, at least that I don't feel. It's a scary challenge, and that's what we're doing here. Your life has been presented a scary a hiccup, and my advice is taking that opportunity to find out who you really are, not the not the scared, not the afraid, not the puffed up, because I've been all of those. And for every fear, you almost have a different projection. I'm afraid if I don't like the way that I look, if I don't like what I make or what I drive, then I project and try to measure up somewhere else in life to compensate for that. So I'd say try to find that which you might not like about yourself, the hairline, bald, but I found a way to love it. And you can do that with anything and everything.
Compensate with it.
Compensate took a long time. I didn't know I could draw this out. But good stuff is remembering who you are. Find out who you are. You got to do a lot of self-search. Find out who that kid was. What were you like as a child? Usually you're goofy, you're energetic, you're crazy. You have different. The way you viewed life is very different than the way you view life now. I know I'm talking a lot. One more thing is if you really want a good perspective of life, I read this, and you go talk to like a 7-year-old, and then you go talk to an 87-year-old, and then you listen to them talk about life, and then you just kind of sitting here in the middle, and you're like, wow, like there's a lot of similarities, and it's almost that journey in the middle. It's our
Stress.
yeah, and we should be accountable to ourselves to find out who we are.
Yeah. No, it's all perfect, and everything. When we're talking about normal, sorry, I'll go super nerd real quick. So, because I was in a big think tank session with a bunch of my professors when I was in grad school over the weekend, because obviously, like, this is like, I'm like super nerding out right now because all this human identity during social economic change is all my research. So I'm like living my research right now, so this is really exciting for me, and talking about it. And this talk about normal was something that we talked about, and there's a theory, it's called landscape theory, and here's an example. So there was a guy that was living in Montana, and he lived in Montana his entire life, and he would see the exact same environment around him, so his landscape. So landscape changes, environment's the same, landscape changes, because landscape's your perspective. He would see the same landscape every single day as he drove. Then he moved away for a little while, and when he moved back, 10 years later is when he suddenly realized that the snow had all melted, and he realized that the climate was changing and there was no longer snow. But people would tell him all the time when he was living in Montana that the climate is changing, He's like, no, it doesn't. It looks the same every single day. But it took him removing himself from his landscape and then going back for him to realize that there was actually change. So what I'm trying to associate that back into our normal is when we get so stuck in our ways, and I don't mean that in necessarily a negative way, but we get so used to our routines, what we see around us all the time. Maybe it's a work environment that's not great, or maybe you're in a relationship or a friendship or something like that maybe isn't actually helping you grow, but you've just been in it for so long that sometimes it takes taking a step out of it and then looking back or stepping back into it for a little while, giving yourself a new perspective to actually realize that what you thought was your normal wasn't actually helping you move forward in a positive projected path. So we get so used to what we do every single day, and we think that that's our normal. We think that that's our okay. And then when we finally have this change in our lives, a change in our landscape, again, being our social constructive view of what's going on in our life, when we have that change, it actually gives us an opportunity to look at what our normal is behind us and figure out what we actually want to change, what we want to manipulate, and see, oh my God, that was a problem. I can fix that. Or figure out, like, this was really working for me. So when we actually have these opportunities in our life where we are shaken up or our landscape changes, and especially in a dramatic way, so in our example, the guy was flat out removed from his environment and then came back, we have an opportunity to notice negative things and positive things going around us and decide what we want to do with it. So it's a pretty normal thing that happens constantly in human lives. So, and we have to remember that, like, I think a lot of us get a lot of, like, victim
It's easy to.
Lots of victim where we're just like, oh my gosh, like this is happening to me. This is happening to me. This pandemic is affecting us right now. Like we're the only humans ever to go through something rough. And we're not ever, like we're going to persevere. Like I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means for me. I don't know what it means for Sefton. I don't know what it means for anybody watching, but we're going to persevere. We're going to get through this. Things will be different, but if you keep having this negative outlook and this negative poor me, or like this is the only terrible thing that's ever happened ever attitude, like we're not going to move forward. You're not going to move forward in a way that you want to, because life is going to keep going. Something else is going to get thrown at you, negative or positive, that's going to change your life, and we just need to be okay with it. So not that I'm saying that all that's going on right now isn't dramatic. It is life-changing. We're definitely living a historical change in how life is handled, but if we can see it as like, hey man, this stuff happens constantly through human history, but we always persevere. We always persevere. So if you can remember that, you're going to be okay, no matter what. So that's kind of my lecture.
Good lecture. So we are the landscape theory. We have been placed in it. The landscape is your perspective, and yes, we have been removed from it and then placed back into it. So a couple cool things was Keelin talked about like a constant personality. So just being who you are, trying to. What I have learned is it's almost like my personality would adapt to the situation that I'm in from day to day or week to week. So if I'm placed within if I am in a stressful situation, or if I walk into a day I have a hard day ahead of me, a lot of work, a lot of clients, maybe I got a lot of stuff going on at home. Am I a different person? Do I handle the situations differently as I would as if I'm walking into a good, better, positive day? What I would know is that my personality is like a hat that I was wearing. It's every single day I'd put on a different hat and I'd almost act like a different person, but the hat not being metaphorical on top of your head, but your hat being like your environment. What I'm striving to do and what I'm encouraging those to do is pay attention to your ebbs and your flows in attitude and in personality. We mentioned before about you'll take on a different personality with a different group of people that you're around. Taking notice now that we're removed, from our environment, you're not actually physically being around some of these people. How is your attitude at home? How is your attitude at home with your children? Maybe playing, maybe doing something fun versus your attitude with after hanging out with a group of friends, hanging out after work. So there is a person. Since we ebb and flow, we put on different hats, different personalities, depending upon who we're around and where we're around. Is what I'm challenging you and I'm challenging myself is to find something powerful and consistent with good attributes and try to grab and take hold of him, saying, this is the guy, this is my new normal. So, for an example, is we've been doing a lot of talks, and I've been doing a lot of talks, and it's a scary thing. It might not look like it from the other side of the camera, but it always has, and maybe always will be. It's a good driving force. If I'm nervous, it's good. But what I'm trying to do is trying to wake up and remember, no, this is the guy. He stands up and he fights for, he kind of fights against his fears, because we all go through it. He stands up and is trying to work towards something better every single day. And I'm trying to accept, no, I am this guy. This is who I am. This is my new normal. I'm leaving the little more timid, the little more afraid, a little more scared Sefton behind, and I'm trying to physically set my focus on this new guy. And so whether my goal is not trying to earn another dollar amount, I'm not trying to grab a car or trying to make a business loop, I'm trying to adapt a different, stronger personality that I think is more original to the real me, as I was when I was young and happy. But because if you can find that person inside of you, which they're there, the strong, the intelligent, the passionate, it's normal to feel peace. It's normal for the human body and mind to feel good. Feeling stressed, feeling worried, feeling out of peace. It's not normal. But a lot of us have been in that hole for so long that that's all that we know, that it's familiar. So familiar and normal, they're similar. during times of stress and challenge, it is comforting to go back to what's familiar, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So, what's your thoughts?
No, that's such a good point. It's the struggle when we're talking about like when we're in times of stress. And there's two kinds of stress. So stress doesn't always have to be bad. So there's distress and then there's stress. So distress is the negative kind of stress. Stress is just anything that causes change on our body, and that seems like such a vague explanation, but that's really what it is, on our minds and on our bodies. So stress is good because stress is where growth can come, and we can talk about that in a personal trainer way, where like we put stress on your body and like weights or the challenge, but that's how you make your body stronger or grow muscle. So there's the most basic personal trainer perspective of it, and it's not bad because we're causing growth. But then stress in just our daily lives is what causes us to grow. It causes your brain to get stronger. It causes your body to get stronger. It causes your mentality to get stronger. It's de-stress that we crumble under, and it's how we handle it that causes the negative downfall of our minds and our bodies and our hormones and all of that. So it's combating the de-stress that's the issue. And again, usually in de-stress is where we try to find those comfort things. So the stereotypical go eat your pint of ice cream and sob on the couch kind of things, or go back to a toxic situation because it's a safe place. So go back and hang out with people that don't cause you to take responsibility for de-stress and grow from it. I think that's a big thing, is the things we go back to that are toxic, and toxic I just mean that don't cause positive growth out of a stressful situation, those are the things that we need to combat, because there's nothing wrong, like Sefton already touched about, he's talking to his cousins daily and they're reminiscing. That's a positive way of going back to something. Like, that's a beautiful thing, because that's something that provides you, I would hope to think, like just comfort in your soul and your heart, and it reminds him who he is, so he can confront a negative situation, a de-stressful situation, and make something positive out of it. So I would say, like, you going and finding maybe people that I'm totally making this up, I have no idea, but maybe you had a group of people that you hung out with in your past that weren't the greatest and just kept you stuck in there we go. It would be going and hanging out with those people during this time as like a crutch to not take responsibility for the de-stress and grow. I think that's where most people fall apart in fitness and health, is that our excuses, our negative behavioral patterns, they're the things we fall back to, so we don't have to get to that scary place of taking responsibility and knowing that something's going to be difficult in order to move forward. So
taking responsibility for the distressors is kind of what I wrote. So it is, you have to hold yourself responsible for your actions, always, ignorantly or not. If you speed and you don't realize that you're going 5 miles an hour because you didn't see the 35 and you're going 40, it's still ignorantly. It's your responsibility to know the law. It's your responsibility to look within yourself and see what direction am I going. You have to self-analyze, and I didn't do it for a long time. Now that I'm doing it, I'm like, oh. So if you self-analyze and then you're convicted, you look back into life and you're like, dude, am I hanging out with the right people? Am I in the right job? Am I treating myself and my family right? You got to be able to first step in and say, hey, am I? What am I doing? And then secondly is you will be convicted of yes or no, and then there is the step to, okay, then I will make a change. And all of these are opportunities, but what Keelin was saying was, and I like it, is you have to take responsibility for the distressors. Have a rough day and you need to eat. If you have a rough day and you call up your friend and you just talk smack on whoever's in work, it is a way to try to de-stress yourself, but it's a negative way of doing it. It's your responsibility, it's our responsibility to cut that, to be aware of it and to cut it off, because it's a weight and it's dragging you down. You mentioned, like, I'll Zoom and I hang out with my cousins and they bring back a good past of when I was a boy, and it's positive, it's powerful. Thinking of me hanging out with a different group and remembering the conversations that just went along with that. Especially being the person who I was so long ago, not really knowing who I am, I just sat in the group and I just became a part of the group, and I allowed who was ever talking, because there's usually a louder speaker. There's those who want to have most of the attention. They kind of rule the conversation. What are they saying? And the groups that I hung out with and the people And what they were saying was always just bringing everyone down, whether it was from, we don't like that guy, what I don't have, what we should be. It was nothing powerful and uplifting. So my challenge to myself, my challenge to you, is now that you're trying to be more aware of your body, you're trying to be more aware of yourself, you're realizing good people, bad people, at least for you. The challenge is if you walk into a group, you walk into a break room, and the attitude is negative, whether they're bringing in the past, whether they're talking about just stress and weakness and sadness. My challenge is to you is I want you to attempt to change that attitude. And so as the energy of the break room, when you walk in, the time that you walk out, you've actually affected everybody else in the break room to now they're speaking of something positive. Because if you speak it, one, you're saying it out loud, you're getting it out, you're also hearing it, and it's kind of like you're setting your own expectations by how you speak. So how you speak to yourself and how you speak to others. We don't realize it, but if we have a bad conversation and we talk negative, we're going to continue, and it's like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. And when you start speaking positive things, people that want that positive, they might not speak up, but that might be that lone girl in the break room. You're talking and you're changing the attitude. You don't know, but she might be listening. And we just don't realize all the people that do take notice. So you being a good person, you attempting to be an upright, attempting to be a positive person, despite how you feel in the moment. Because if you always go by just how you feel, feelings can be very deceptive. So I think making it's like almost like making a commitment to be positive, because it's not about a feeling, it's a commitment. And for a long time I'd wake up and I'd just kind of step into the shoes of how I felt. If I felt bad or sad, I would accept that through my day. And now what I'm learning is, it's when it's hard, but is if I feel bad or if I feel sad, I have to remember who I am and who I'm trying to be. And I find and I build the background, I build the evidence to support the powerful, the positive, the happy, the fearless self. But you have to find, you have to bring it in. It's a workout like we do here as trainers with the body, with nutrition, working out your mind, working out your image, working out a consistent positive outlook on life is challenging, but it's worth it. Very worth it.
Yeah, I just want to build off of kind of what we were talking about, because I know I've had conversations with other people and, find myself in situations, not often, but, and this is, I'm going to totally make up this scenario, but I'm going to think that just because he's over there as an example, he can't hear me, but that's fine, is sometimes, like, especially like in a work environment, you usually have people who are just like, oh my god, my coworker drives me crazy, and we've talked on it before, is sometimes you don't know what somebody else is going through, that they're acting negatively, and how powerful you can be on that person by just being positive towards them. So let's pretend that Sefton and I have a really unhealthy break room relationship, and all we do when we sit in the break room together is just bash David. Just like all we do is just gossip, and it's just like, we're just like, oh my god, like, just, which is so funny because we would never do that, but like all we do is just say negative things or make fun of them or anything like that, just something that's a negative topic. Like, I just always find myself when I walk into the break room, whenever I talk to Sefton, we just always just say not kind things about someone, and we'll just use David as an example because he's right there. I don't want to be that person. Like, no one wants to be that person who constantly, who's like, then all of a sudden I'm the mean girl. I don't want to be the mean girl at work. Like, that's not, I don't want to do that, but then I feel like that's what Sefton and I have to talk about when we're there. So I could go into the break room, I can make that decision of like, well, I can't just not talk to Sefton. Like, that would be super awkward and uncomfortable because now I'm just like not talking to my coworker. But I have the power to make that not the topic of our conversation. So I could go in and just start normal, casual conversation of like, Sefton, how's your day? Or if he starts going into a negative perspective or anything, just change it. Or maybe I can say, what makes you feel that way? And maybe that's what he needed, is just to have someone who doesn't encourage him to talk negatively, who gets him to think about something positively. Or maybe he just needs somebody to talk it out with him, and he needs someone to listen to him. And just by saying like, why do you feel that way? If you feel like comfortable enough to have that conversation with a person, or just flat out take control of a conversation and make it positive. So, because sometimes we can't get away with not talking to people. We work with them. They're always by us or something like that. Or they're in a friend group. I feel like people always talk about, like, I have my friend group, but there's always that one friend who's friends with somebody else who's always just the downer of the situation, but they're always there. You don't have to make them that person. You can still make it positive. Or if they're, like you said, that loud voice that's so controlling and they're so dramatic, like, you can kind of control it. You can either tune it out and not participate in it, or just take the responsibility to control the conversation and put it on a positive path. Or if Sefton was ragging on David, I could just be like, hey man, like, let's just not make fun of David anymore. Like, we don't know, like, this could like really hurt his feelings. And I know, like, it's really easy to get into situations like that, and I had to make a rule real quickly with myself, because it's easy to fall into those conversations, because sometimes they turn into, like, what you think are like harmless jokes can turn into something that could actually be really hurtful. Like, if David ever found out something that Sefton and I said, it could like really hurt his feelings, and he might not think very highly of us. Is never say something about someone that you would never feel comfortable saying to their face. So even if you have something negative, quote unquote, to say about someone, or you just want to be like, hey man, like, you just need to vent, because venting is still healthy, but always make sure it's something that you should feel comfortable saying to that person's face, or that you're having that conversation with someone who is not going to misconstrue your words and change it. Like, just be like, and you can start with like, I'm just venting, I just need to get out of my system. Like, can you just listen to me for a second? Because if I start that with Sefton, he's going to know, like, hey, she's not really that upset, but she's just got to get, like, something off her just to, like, kind of chill out. And so he's going to know I'm not really ragging on David. I just, he just happened to, like, walk the wrong way, and it just bothered me. And that's not really the issue, because that's when you're venting. It's not really the issue. It's just, like, that thing that's bothering you at that moment. So you have control of your words, and you can kind of control another person's words too. So that's mine.
And you can, good. A bunch of good stuff. So I wrote down, my bullet was like, speak truth. And what I mean is, you walk into a break room and people are speaking negative. Often you'll get people who speak negative about themselves just as much as they speak negative to someone else. And there's 2 points that I want to make here. One is, let's talk about judgment for a second. Is if my mind and my natural place is to look and to judge others by how they walk, how they talk, or what do I assume them to be personality? Because when I meet somebody, you really don't know them. And the more you know somebody, then the more you realize that they're not normal, because what normal can't really be defined. And the more I know myself, the more I know my wife, the more I know my friends, I'm like, dude, he's unique, and everybody is. But if I try to take the initiative to assume who someone is without really knowing them, I'm judging them. And I'm judging them based upon the actions, the environment that I see in front of me, whether that's even right or wrong to begin with. So what I realize is, when I'm more judgy, and I've been more that in the past, and I'm trying to work that out, and it's very natural to make a judgment, but it's our responsibility to, if you make a first impression, this is from Tyler yesterday, if you make a first impression on somebody, it's your responsibility to understand that first impressions, they will be made, and you have to challenge that first impression to see further, is that guy, that girl, really who I initially saw them to be? And you'll realize is that you're probably almost always right. And then you'll do it enough until you're like, when you see somebody, you're just like, you might see them talk or act in a way that might not be the way that you talk or act, but you give them grace, because I've been through a lot, and I've done a lot of dumb stuff, and I want people to be able to judge me, to see me now, not for who I was necessarily. So, second, so talking about judgment is, if you judge others, you judge yourself just as harshly, and probably more so. So by judging others, you're doing the same amount of thinking. If I think about them, then they might think about me. Next thing you know, you're in a place, you're not even in the moment. Everything, your kids, your life, you're not even here. It's like you're in a virtual reality of negativity. And you're thinking, and you're foreplaying situations and roles and conversations that never happen, that never would happen, but you can bring them to happen by thinking them ahead of time. I'll leave that as it is. We can go into that all day long. Judgment. It's easy and you said this, it's easy to have negative talk. It's easy to walk into a room where everybody's eating a bunch of cookies and a bunch of pizza, and you're on a diet, and you're trying to have a diet of your mind or a diet of like your attitude. You walk in, you're like, I'm not going to talk negative, I'm not going to speak, I'm not going to look, I'm going to be cool, and you walk into a group of people, metaphorically, if you're on a physical diet, trying to eat healthy, trying to eat good, you're dropping weight, you're feeling, and then you walk into a pizza party and a cookie party, we are going to be presented opportunities, situations where you have to choose. Am I going to try to continue to be on my physical diet and lose weight because I have a bigger goal? Or am I going to once again kind of slip within the group and eat and slip up? So we're making 2 points here. Is physically, you're going to be challenged. You got to, once you're on a diet, you got to stick to it. There's bigger goals ahead. There's a brighter future ahead, and you're doing this for you. And what's in front of you is temporary, and you have to be able to walk through it. Or at least be able to endure it. So walking into a break room with negativity, with unpositive thinking, it's easy to take that cookie to continue to talk negative, to speak, to just drop into that, because it's easy and it's satiating, just as is a chocolate chip cookie. When you don't feel good, that thing's gonna make me happy, and it still does, and I still have to fight it. Case in point, it's a challenge to keep your diet of attitude of not talking negative. You're going to be challenged just as you will with food, but you're going to have to resist it. So to lose weight in fitness, you have to bring things in. You have to take in healthy thoughts for the mind, and then you have to get rid of the negative thoughts. You have to take in healthy food. You have to get rid of the negative food. It's very parallel. Lastly, and then we'll move on to you, is I just wrote down speaking truth. So you have a friend. You have a friend that comes in, they like to gossip. They potentially like to gossip a lot about themselves. And I've seen that too, is if you speak negative on yourself, that's just, it's almost like you're making this self-fulfilling prophecy. And if I'm setting expectations, if I'm saying that I am fat, that I am stupid, that I am negative, that I will lose, well, I've done that most of my life. So, and I became the things that I was saying, and I realized the power of my voice. And then I started speaking differently, and then I became into what I was speaking, although I wasn't at it now. I wasn't strong and fit and healthy and pain-free at the moment. I started speaking it as I was. You give that a few years and you'll become it. But that works positively and negatively. If someone's speaking bad about themselves, I think it is your responsibility to, although it's uncomfortable, to tell them and to say, no, you are wrong. You are in fact not fat. You are in fact not stupid. You are looking at yourself negative. Stop talking to yourself like that. I'm challenging you to confront those that you love, that you care for. If they're speaking bad about themselves, you do them more good, although it is awkward and it is a conflict. You do them more good by saying, no, you're not, and actually rebuking them and saying, this is who you are. Although they ain't gonna like it in the moment, it'll be weird, but they get to sit in the back of their mind every time they call themselves fat or stupid. They're also hearing your voice saying, no, you're not. You are something powerful. So we get that as trainers. Client come in, I'm fat, I'm done, I can't. And then, in all honesty, I attack them. I go, don't you ever say that about yourself again. Not here, not in front of me. And it's encouraging when you see, because someone else fight for you. She's talking bad, and I'm like, don't you ever talk about yourself like that. And then you realize he actually wasn't fighting me, he was fighting for me. So you're challenged. Don't let people speak bad about themselves. Stand up, and you wouldn't want somebody to allow you to speak bad about yourself either.
No, that's, changing your language is perfect. That summed up a lot. So I know everybody kind of teases me about my kind of direct training and coaching style, but that's why, because if I have high standards for people in the sense of I think that you can be amazing. So if you're gonna put yourself below those standards,
That's right.
then I'm not gonna accept that. So if I push you, if I'm hard on you, I guess just asking you to try really hard, is simply because I believe that you could do something.
That's right.
I have to make that very clear. I do that a lot, especially when I'm coaching, in cross country and track. I make it very clear, I'm a good time, I'm super fun, but I'm business, and I'm business because you could become something and I can help you and I have the tools. So if you can, when you have those knock it off conversations with people, just figure out that's my style. I'm pretty direct like that, and I just talk like this, pretty monotone like that and talk. So that works for me. But if you can figure out your way of saying, like, just prepping people, because again, like Sefton said, they sometimes really don't like it, and they might not be ready to take that responsibility of themselves to change themselves. But as long as they can know that you said that from the heart, and because you see something beautiful inside of them, they will eventually come around to you. Again, it might take them a while still internally to take the responsibility, but they're still going to see you as someone who's a positive force that's going to help them get there. So just figure out what your method is of delivering that. And then I was going to go back when you were talking about judgment, and we were talking about the break room and walking into a room of people and like having the opportunities, and with diet. So I had like an actual like real life, because again, going through something really dramatic and life-changing situation where, so it's real life situation here, is that when I was diagnosed with my stomach cancer, I had to change dramatically the way that I ate. And this happened like mid-20s. So, people going out all the time, your friends, you're like living life. I don't drink anymore. So I became immediately, because again, going through a massive life change, it was very stressful. I was very confused. I didn't know what was going on. So kind of similar to like life changing now, like just we're all confused, right? So I immediately, because I didn't know what was going on in my life, made that an insecurity of me. And I assumed everybody was judging me, or like no one would like me anymore because I have to eat a certain way, and no one would want to like go out and ask me out to dinner, or like Keelin doesn't drink. Not that I was a huge drinker, but it's still like it's a very easy, like, you want to go out and grab a drink, do you want to go out and get a glass of wine, do you want to go grab a beer or whatever. That's a very normal social thing. And no one would want to hang out with me anymore because now Keelin can't just go out and get a drink. I legitimately had like fear that people wouldn't like me anymore because I just couldn't go out to certain restaurants anymore. I just like it became a challenge of like, well, we all want to go out to eat, but shoot, Keelin, can you eat there? Like, we don't know. And I felt terrible. I was just like, oh my God, I'm not likable anymore because of this. Part of that was massively in my head. I just assumed people wouldn't want to hang out with me. So it was very internal, that conversation. Like, just what we think is, we go into a situation and we just like, we feel like we need to change, or I would just sit and be quiet and just be like, no, I'm totally fine, I'm great, just because I wanted to be invited, where like inside I was starving and I was so hungry and I was miserable because I just never vocalized for myself. And I just assumed that people would just judge me. That's kind of a dramatic, because I didn't think people would judge me for being sick, but would just be like, Keelin's such a bummer, like we'll just push her off on the back burner. So a lot of it was internal. And then when I realized, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, this is the way that I need to change my life in order to be healthy, to be alive, to be the healthiest version of myself. And I just need to be okay with it. I need to be very vocal about it because it's who I am. It's like where my life is and is going to be. And that's okay. Generally, 98% of people, they don't actually care.
No.
They don't care.
No,
they really don't care. So anything that you're going through that's on a path to better yourself, if you're in a group of people that might not actually be aligned that way, whether it's with your diet change, with your fitness change, they probably don't care. Like, they should accept you. And again, if they don't accept you for wanting to make yourself a better person, they might be that group of people that you have to leave behind you. And you could find a whole nother group of people that will help you go. So really what I was saying is that I did go through that massive life change. I did have a lot of that internal self-doubt and fear of judgment, fear of people not liking me, fear of being left out, and a lot of it was completely manifested in my own brain. So I became that life that I created in my head. It wasn't actually reality. It was that virtual reality of negative talk in my head. And then when I finally just allowed myself to be like, hey man, take responsibility for what you're doing with your life, because you're just trying to live and be healthy, all of that went away. And really only about 2% of people in my life were like, just didn't want to hang out anymore. But did I want to hang out with those people anyway?
That's right.
No, I didn't. And it's fine, and no harm done. So, and you just find those people that are going to be more positive. So whatever you're going through right now, if you're feeling uncomfortable or you don't feel like you want to voice something, or if you're trying to make a positive change in your life but you're nervous about how your group of friends or your family or anything are going to say about this change that you're trying to do, if it's something that's to better yourself, they should support you. And if they don't support you in bettering yourself, you might want to rethink some of your relationships, or go find, not necessarily get rid of them, but go find a new group of people that support that and help you move forward.
It's no, once again, fun stuff. Let's see our time. Let's see how we do.
I have no idea what time it is. People are just watching.
Hi, people. We got more to talk about, always.
Always. I have no idea what time it is.
I'll
go check.
We'll keep going and then we'll go. So once again, as she's talking, I'm writing. I feel like I can't write enough because there's just a lot of things to talk about, and I'm trying not to ping pong all over the place. We're trying to keep this, about normal, about self-image, about people that you hang around with. There's a couple things.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right. You talked a lot about assuming in your head, and it's this internal battle that every single person that you'll ever meet is facing, has faced, and will continue to face, a battle in their head of, it's like, I guess, finding your own, assuming internal and assuming external, what is real and what is real out there, because everything is perspective. How you see yourself is how you see you. How you see yourself is not how we see you. And usually, is how you see yourself is very different than how everybody else see you, and it's easy, at least for me, for a good amount of time, and a lot of my clients, to see yourself as less than what you are. So, once again, getting around a good group of friends, having those that are speaking life into your life, and trusting their opinion enough that they can better help. If they're telling you, if they're teaching, if they're saying, hey, this is who you are, it's your responsibility to trust them, at least every now and then. And to not just put down the garbage disposal every single compliment that comes into your life. Because if someone's complimenting you, especially if they're a friend or there's someone that cares about you, odds are it's real. And it's your job to at least consider that. It's almost like when I would get compliments younger, and they would come in, and I would deem myself unworthy, and I would just trash them and never remember them. And then I wouldn't even be able to give that, the family member who complimented me, I wouldn't ever reciprocate that by saying thank you. Why? Because I never took their advice to begin with. So one, it was killing my own relationship. I wasn't seeing myself as something more, and then I was never giving them the gratitude and giving them the thank you, and they never got to see their words take root. If I give Keelin a compliment and I tell her, hey, you're smart, you're fast, whatever, I won her. It actually does me good if she accepts the compliment and grows from it. It's a win-win. So likewise with your friends speaking to you, take a compliment every now and then. Everybody is battling in their head all the time about perspective. And when it comes down to it, is how I and Keelin, how we view the world, it's not true in general, it's just true to us. It's true on how I feel and how I perceive. It's real to me. But we've all seen the picture where someone can write a 6, right? And then you can flip it and it's a 9. You can have somebody, it's a 9 to her, it's a 6 to me, and we can fight all day long, but we're both right. So giving yourself the grace and giving others the grace that their reality might be their truth. My reality might be my truth, and being able to accept that. And for a while, I thought the way that I saw the world was the way the world is and was, and I was wrong, very wrong. So the internal battle, like you're talking about, is since you didn't feel good, since you felt weird or different, you assume that your friends don't want to hang out with you. You assume that they thought you might be you might be a drain or whatnot. And we have a lot of these that go through daily, whether you are aware of them or not. They're going through into the head and out the head. Being able to kind of take those thoughts captive and hold them and saying, is this rational? How does this make me feel when I believe what I'm thinking? Does it make me feel bad about myself or good about myself? And if I were to kind of just give a very simple guideline, if you have a thought that comes into your mind, which we have 100 billion, every single day, we have a ton. If you have a thought that comes into your mind, if you're aware enough to see it, and if you choose to perseverate on it and it brings you down, I want you to kick it out. And I want you to grab a positive thought and self-place it. It's a challenge, and a lot of it because you might not feel worthy enough to do it. We'll move on from there. So, you said internal or irrational self-judgments. Once again, it's that which you think about, that what you think of yourself, that what you speak of yourself, you tend to become that. And I just became a self-fulfilling prophecy of, it's almost like I experienced a good amount of hopelessness and just shame and just not a positive outlook on life. I just never thought things would get better. And even going into high school sports and wrestling, and I remember that, I always walked onto the mat expecting to lose. I was in good shape. I won a lot of my matches, but I always expected to lose. And if I won, I was like, I can't believe I won. And here's the best part: it was never that I never could say, hey, I did well. I always thought, well, he was just a bad wrestler. So my irrational self-judgment, just living that old who I am, my old normal of less, and there's not a bright future. I had to kick that out. So in this whole new normal, we have a chance. We have this landscape has been changed beneath us, and it's a unique opportunity that we might only get once in our life to assess what you built, assess who you are, assess what's important in life, assess your friends, and have the time to create a goal, not necessarily monetary or physical value, but a goal of internal change and positivity. I'm going to choose to believe that I am someone different than I used to. I'm choose to believe more of myself. And if you can hold it, you can continually fight for that, just like you do under the barbell, and every single day you come at it, it hurts to grow. It's a challenge to grow in your mind. And I'd say if you can wake up and you can try to claim that good person, that new person, that strong, that powerful, that intelligent, that worthy, it'll change your life without a doubt. Take my word for it, and then see the results as they come versus trying to. I would always like to kind of figure out and rationalize, well, this might not work for me because now I've never stepped into the diet. I could talk about it, but finish. You go finish that.
Wrapping it all up with judgment and self-worth going through. So we have what normal. Get rid of the word normal. There's no such thing as normal. Normal is an idea that we constructed in our head. We crave routine. We'll get bits and parts of our routine back, but use this opportunity of change to move forward and stop craving things that you had in the past because you're going to be stuck there. So, and only go back to the things in the past that help you, just like Sefton's cousins. Remember who you are as a person that will help you in a path of positive growth. So, use this as opportunities to grow in communication and figure out what you find is important in your life. Remember that stress is normal, but it's the de-stress that we have that we tend to fall apart under. So you need to remember that you need to take responsibility, like in self-responsibility for the things that we're going through, and say that I am going to change. I am going to make a positive change in my life and not fall back into our negative paths of how we handle de-stress in our life. So when it comes to judgment, a lot of times when we portray negative judgment towards others, it's actually reflections of what we're going on in ourselves. So when it comes to self-judgment, just remember everyone is flawed. We're all working on something. We're all striving on something. Use positive language when you talk about yourself and when you talk about others, because you don't know what anybody else is going through and how they're going to perceive that. And that no matter what situation is going on in life, there's always going to be multiple perspectives. Sefton's going to see something different the way that I see it and the way that somebody else sees it. It doesn't mean that anybody is wrong. It just means that we're different. And if we can accept that, and even if it's something that we just don't agree on, if we can accept that we're not going to agree, but we can have a fruitful conversation and both of us move forward and learn something from something that we're talking about or going through together, which is we're all going through life together, we're all going to be okay, whatever that new normal is.
Cool beans. Bob Ross.
Bob Ross, out. All right, thank you guys, and I will be with you doing a shoulder workout in 5 minutes. All right, thank you.
Very cool.